Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Inside the Force. Dave Cottingham here. And once again, I am back at you on the solo trip here, doing Inside the Force for you. Got a lot of stuff to get to, a lot of big reveals, a lot of big things coming up. I feel like I'm in between some really big announcements here. One, which I'm going to talk to you later about, is the Boba Fett trailer that just came out a few days ago. And then, of course, we got Disney Plus Day coming at the end of this week, which is going to which looks to be a ton of new reveals, new announcements. Probably get a good look at what we're getting in 2022. All right. So again, thanks for joining with me, and love seeing the comments coming on the videos and the tweets and all that kind of stuff. So I know it's been a couple weeks, but I am going to start doing this weekly, regardless if it's myself and a guest or not. But I am going to crank these out for you on a weekly basis. So please keep watching and keep commenting and keep subscribing. Really helps. Thank you so much. So let's get into it. First thing I want to bring up, which is something that we haven't talked too much on this show, because Hannah and I really cover all the extra stories that are out there in the books and the comics and whatnot on Beyond the Saga. But I just finished up War of the Bounty Hunters, which was a 5-issue series written by Charles Soule. And it takes place between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. And it's right after Empire Strikes Back, where Han, gets taken in carbonite from Cloud City by Boba Fett, and on his way over to Jabba runs into a mess of issues, and of course other bounty hunters that are trying to steal the bounty from him. A really crazy series. It just wrapped up, so Hannah and I are going to tackle it on Beyond the Saga next month when the trade comes out. But I just wanted to kind of touch on that it's a really good series, and it's the first of 3 trilogies. So first of 3 of a trilogy that Charles Soule is writing. He's writing another series, Crimson Reign, that's going to come out here, and then Hidden Empire, which starts next year. So really cool, because this, hopefully, I don't want to spoil too much. Hopefully this is not too much of a spoiler, but maybe skip 10 seconds if you don't want to hear this. But War of the Bounty Hunters does reintroduce us to Kira. So she has survived this timeline since what we last saw her, which was in Solo. Crimson Dawn is back. The syndicates are, around. Obviously, at this point in time, during the Empire, you still have Black Sun, and obviously the Hutts are around in this issue, in these issues. But really cool to see, Luke and Leia desperately trying to save Han. In the movies, obviously there's a year in between Empire and Jedi, Return of the Jedi. So it's, there's a lot of things that's going on in there. You have the Star Wars issues and the Vader issues that are filling that gap right now. But this is a great little story to drop in. And it does a bunch of crossovers with the other issues, which I haven't read yet. But Star Wars and Vader, Dr. Aphra, Bounty Hunters are all comic lines right now that have crossovers with this storyline. So it's going to be good to go and check those out and see how those play into the main story. But the main story is about Boba Fett. So obviously we're getting a lot of Boba Fett right now with this show coming out, with this. They're definitely capitalizing on his return. So anyway, I highly recommend go check it out. I don't feel like you need to. Definitely, you don't need to read any of the other issues that have been out there, I don't feel like, because if you just watched Empire Strikes Back and then read this, I think you'd be really into it anyway. And I think that Having seen Kira in Solo and then seeing her now, I think it kind of helps also to know that and to know the Crimson Dawn aspect of it. So that's all you need to know. I think it's a great series. Go watch it, or I'm sorry, go read it. Be awesome if they actually made it into a show, because that'd definitely be worth watching. A little bit of news on the Hayden Christensen side, where he's going to show up in Obi-Wan, but apparently the reports are out there now that he's definitely going to show up in Ahsoka as well. The Ahsoka Disney Plus series. I think everybody I've seen and read online that they are excited about this. I think Hayden is definitely. I think people are finally coming around. I know he got a lot of hate when he was doing the prequels, but I think people are really appreciating him now. And then, of course, the fans that were younger watching him are older now also, so they had a much appreciation for him when the prequels came out. So I think they're kind of leading that charge right now that Hayden is a welcome addition back into Star Wars. But a lot of rumors going around right now of how he's going to show up in this series. Is he going to be a Force ghost? Is it going to be flashbacks back when Ahsoka and Anakin were fighting during the Clone Wars? I actually think it's going to be a combination of both. The thing about it is we haven't seen, if you really think about it, we just haven't seen a lot of Force ghosts. We saw them in the original trilogy, and you only saw them with Obi-Wan. Of course, you get the last shot at the end of Return of the Jedi where you see three of them, Anakin, which is replaced by Hayden eventually with the special editions. And then, not the special editions, but the post prequels, Yoda, and then, of course, Alec Guinness version of Obi-Wan. And then we get another Force ghost eventually in Yoda in The Last Jedi. The prequels, we don't get any Force ghosts. I mean, nobody has conquered that part of the Force or trained and fully gained that knowledge of becoming a Force ghost after death. It wasn't until after Qui-Gon did it and nearly figured it out and then trained Yoda, and then obviously he figured it out and then trained Obi-Wan and so on. How Anakin turned into a Force ghost still is a kind of a mystery to me, but we just don't know a lot about Force ghosts yet. And there's always been, in my mind, this question of, post Return of the Jedi, did Luke ever see Anakin or Obi-Wan again? Obviously, we see Yoda again in The Last Jedi, but it seems like in that conversation that they're having, that Luke hasn't even seen Yoda for a very, very long time. Because the only reference he makes to him in conversation about their previous conversations was conversations they had in Return of the Jedi right before he died, when he's telling him to pass on what he's learned, So, I don't know. I think if all of a sudden he starts showing up, let's just say Anakin starts showing up in Ahsoka as a Force ghost, I think there needs to be some explanation there a little bit about how he's able to do that. Why is Ahsoka able to commune with him? Why hasn't he shown up into Luke or maybe even Leia? So I would lean more towards it being flashbacks, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do the Force ghosts in Force Ghost commune in the present, which the show will take place in. that's just what I've been thinking about. I don't know. Curious what everybody else is thinking about that. But I definitely am more interested in hearing and learning about Force Ghosts and taking more of a deeper dive into what the possibilities are there and why we don't see that many of that anymore. Again, it seems like that was not learned until the very end when the Jedi were pretty much wiped out. But it'd be interesting to see how Hayden was able to do that and why he's able to do that, because we haven't had an explanation about that fully yet. So moving on. Okay. See, the big thing I think to speculate on is this week on Friday, November 12th, we are getting Disney Plus Day. Now, ironically, I went ahead and took off work that day. Our company is closed on Thursday, so I went ahead and took Friday off. So I am going to be deep diving right away into Disney Plus Day, and I'm probably going to do an episode that day or that night to kind of cover up, all the news that's coming out then. First off, a lot of stuff's getting released on Disney Plus. You're getting movies getting released like Jungle Cruise and Shang-Chi, The Legend of the Ten Rings. But we're also going to apparently get a bunch of content, Star Wars reveals, Star Wars. There's some behind the scenes. There's a Boba Fett behind the scenes featurette. I don't think it's really on the show. I think it's just on Boba Fett in general. But the rumors are as follows. The rumors are we're going to get an Obi-Wan trailer, which I think or a teaser. I think that's very likely. We're going to get an Andor teaser or sizzle. I think we should get a teaser at this point, not a sizzle. Something that's really hyping the show. I think that's a possibility for sure. Apparently, we might be getting sizzles, where you see some footage, behind the scene footage, and then some interviews of the Book of Boba Fett, and apparently maybe even Mandalorian season 3. Those two, partially for me, I think are very slim possibilities. I would put Book of Boba Fett possibly more likely because that show is about to come out. Mandalorian season 3, I'm just not sure because I'm not sure in fact, I feel like they're still filming that right now, right? So don't think we get too much on Mandalorian season 3. Apparently there could be a Bad Batch teaser, an announcement on when that comes back. I think that is pretty likely because, we've mentioned this on the show before that the animation shows are about a year ahead of each other. So season 2 is pretty much, I would feel like, almost in the can, if not fully done. And they're starting to work on season 3 already. So I do think we could get a teaser on that. And then, of course, there's a rumor about a new animated show that's getting worked on, centered around Darth Maul and Crimson Dawn. Apparently, the formation of Crimson Dawn by Maul after the Clone Wars. I think that's a great idea. I think people are going to want that show. I'm sure everybody wants it as a live action show like myself, but unfortunately, I think, Maul is relatively young at that point, so you probably have to recast him. And I don't know if people are ready for somebody else to play Maul. It wouldn't hurt. So I think I'd be okay with it. But again, money is one thing to build that and to shoot that like that. I think it'd be tougher. Animated makes perfect sense. So I think that's pretty likely. I think hearing that is actually pretty likely. Paul Bettany apparently is coming back as Dryden Voss. And then you have D. Bradley Baker probably coming back as clone troopers. I heard a rumor that there could be Matt Lanter as Anakin or Vader. Wouldn't be Vader necessarily, and Anakin wouldn't be around at this point. It'd be Vader now. So I don't know how likely that is unless he's playing a different character. So anyway, that's a good thing. So regardless of what teasers or sizzles we do get, I do think 99% sure what we will get are release dates. I feel like we will get kind of an announcement of, okay, Obi-Wan is debuting this time. Andor is then debuting this time. Season 2 of Bad Batch is coming here. Mandalorian season 3 is coming out here. I think those are the 4 shows we're getting next year, right? Book of Boba Fett will wrap at early 2022. So then we'll be going right into Andor or Obi-Wan. It actually sounds like I probably would have bet everything earlier that Andor was going to come out before Obi-Wan, but I feel like Obi-Wan may drop first now, just because I feel like it was shorter. They're still working on Andor, I think, in the post side. I think it's a longer show. So I want to say that Obi-Wan may be ready to go, probably February, March. And then you get Andor after that, which would be probably somewhere around Celebration, which is in May. And then you got season 2 of Bad Batch next summer. And then you got Mandalorian at the end of fall, this time next year. Haven't heard anything about Ahsoka shooting yet, so I don't feel like that's going to come out next year. I feel like that's going to come out after season 3 of Mandalorian, which will be into 2023, unfortunately. So that's how I see it happening. Not sure what everybody else thinks, but I do think the 4 shows will get release dates. I think we'll get an order of when they're coming out. Now, of course, there's another rumor that's been popping up that I didn't have in my notes, but I've been reading the last couple of days, is apparently the Rogue Squadron movie is apparently delayed or getting delayed. And there's actually another Star Wars movie getting shot next year for the December 2023 release date. Now, that's a big rumor. And since I don't really know much about it, apparently it's possibly an Old Republic movie, but that would be just completely out of nowhere, which, right. All we know right now is there's a Taika movie and then there's a Patty Jenkins movie. Apparently no one knows anything about this movie. People are speculating that it could be the Rian Johnson movie. But I don't know if he would go into the Old Republic era, but maybe. So we'll have to see. But that's the rumor right now, that there could be that kind of announcement this weekend too. Doesn't feel like that would be announced at this Disney Plus day, because it's not really about Disney Plus, since that's a theatrical release. I think something like that will come out later when there's more concrete news for that. So not holding my breath too much about that. But anyway, that's Disney Plus Day. That's November 12th. So like I said, I'm going to probably do a show that night after I kind of sink my teeth in all of that and completely absorb what all that information is. It's going to be a lot. I mean, if we get something on Obi-Wan, man, I'm going to probably watch it 100 times. So looking forward to that show. That's still top of my list right now as most anticipated for me. Cannot wait for that. Okay, so moving on. There is, speaking of comics, there's a 5-issue series I wanted to mention coming out next year, 2022, written by Ethan Sachs. It is Star Wars Halcyon Legacy. And for those of you who don't remember, the Halcyon is actually the name of the ship, the Star Cruiser ship that the new Disney experience at Walt Disney World, Hollywood Studios, not necessarily Hollywood Studios, is tied to Batuu a little bit, but Galaxy's Edge, but it's the 2-night experience you can have there where you get shuttled to the Halcyon and you have a real life Star Wars experience. They're having a 5-issue series on that next year that's going to span different eras, all the way from the High Republic era all the way through the First Order era. So you're going to see the ship and the history of the ship, which I think is pretty cool. I think it's obviously great timing where you can read about this and then, of course, go experience this at in Orlando. I will say a little teaser that I'm working on it. I'm trying to get to the Star Cruiser also next year. I think I can make it work. Not sure. I can't go. I'm not going to be able to go when it first opens, which is in March. But I'm thinking I might be able to hit it up in that next summer. So, of course, keep you posted on that. Okay. High Republic, they're touting right now. High Republic goes dark. Apparently there's some really bad things happening coming up. If you guys have been watching Beyond the Saga, we did reviews on the first volume of the comic series, the High Republic comic series. And we also reviewed Light of the Jedi, which was basically the novel that kicked off that era along with the comics. So I had the book right there, but I don't have it next to me anymore. I'm reading or listening to Into the Dark right now by Claudia Gray. So we are diving more into the High Republic series right now. Wave 2 is coming to an end. Wave 3 kicks off in January with a bunch of new content, new novels, new comics. So it's really getting good. I'm really liking it, and I'm starting to get familiar with the characters and the time frame and all that stuff. So it's becoming easier to absorb. So, yeah, we're going to keep doing that. But it looks like there's bad stuff happening, really bad stuff coming during that era. I think we're just going to see, like we talked about, me and Hannah talked about, like we're going to just truly see why they chose this time frame. 200 years before Episode 1. I think they chose this time frame for a reason. I think we're going to see the beginning of the downfall of the Jedi. I think the prequel era is now dubbed the fall of the Jedi, from Episode 1 through the Clone Wars, which is about 13 years. Right now, that's dubbed the fall of the Jedi. Well, I think that their fall is going to be illustrated more in the High Republic, that it started then. And something happened to them over these next couple hundred years that just really started weakening them from the inside. And I think it's obviously dark side related. I think it could still actually be Sith related. So we will see a lot of that, I think, coming, especially with the show The Acolyte taking place around that time. So it's gonna be crazy. I think it's gonna be crazy. Okay, what else? Just some brief announcements before I talk about the Book of Boba Fett trailer here. Novels, of course, coming out next week. The third book of the Thrawn Ascendancy, Lesser Evil. Been talking about this release date for this whole year. It's finally upon us here, November 16th. And then, like I said, you got to have High Republic novels coming out first of the year. You got January 4th. You got The Fallen Star. Later on that year, you got Midnight Horizon. And then finally, we got Queen's Hope, April 5th coming, which is that third book from E.K. Johnston about Padme. And you got some 3 fantastic looking books coming. Brotherhood, which is Obi-Wan, and that is coming out May 10th. You got Shadow of the Sith. That's that Lando Luke novel taking place pre-Episode 7, when the whole Rise of the Skywalker, when they're talking about Luke and Lando looking for that Sith Wayfinder. That's coming out June 28th, and you got Padawan coming out July 26th. So some great novels coming out next year. Can't wait for those. Comics-wise, you got High Republic number 10 coming out this week. You got High Republic, A Monster of Temple Peak, number 4. Coming out next week, November 17th, Dr. Aphra 16, November 17th, Life Day, number 1. That's an interesting book. Want to check that out, November 17th. High Republic Trail of Shadows, November 24th, new comic series of the High Republic era coming out then. And then you've got Crimson Reign, number 1. That's that second trilogy I was talking to you about from Charles Soule. That is coming out December 1st. Can't wait to dive into that as well. Lots of Crimson Dawn, obviously Kira centered in that storyline. So go get that. Okay, so the Book of Boba Fett, the trailer for that. Now, let's see. Where to begin? This thing is just under 2 minutes. So it's about a minute 48. First thing I noticed when I started watching this, got to say right off the bat that it definitely felt like The Mandalorian. I think you can clearly tell this thing is being, produced by Favreau and Filoni again. I think that visually it looks very, very much like The Mandalorian, which isn't a bad thing, but I do want to see. I don't know if there's a different style, a different look that these shows can do, or whether or not I even want that. I'm not sure if I even want that or not. But when I think of something like Obi-Wan that's coming out and Andor, I feel like those are going to look a little different because, there's a style that I'm guessing, I'm guessing, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm wondering if the same cinematographer is on this as he is on The Mandalorian. I would guess maybe not, just because directors usually use their own cinematographers or ones that they work with. And again, but I don't know. We don't know yet how many episodes Rodriguez had done. I'm assuming he has done the pilot, which I think has, I think a lot of this footage is from the pilot. No more than the first couple episodes. But, again, the look is definitely, when they were talking about this being Mandalorian 2.5, I actually totally see that, totally accept that. Not a lot in this trailer, to be honest. I think this really doesn't give away too much of what is in store for Boba Fett. I think Boba Fett is, he's been out of the game now for about 5 years, right? So he has to reestablish himself, and that's what it looks like he's trying to do in this. He's trying to go around and let these people know that he is back, let them know that things are going to run a little differently. But again, being away for 5 years, these guys, these other syndicates have got to know that, or got to question whether or not they should even believe him or need him. Because Jabba, it's not like he wiped out Jabba. Jabba's been out for 5 years. Bib Fortuna looks like he has somewhat taken over, but he hasn't come across as one of the strongest type leaders. He's been more of a pawn anyway to Jabba, kind of a sidekick. So it is a question of how much weight Bib Fortuna even had. And it doesn't maybe seem like there's much because, when Bo was going in trying to talk to these people, and it sounds like they're meeting with all kinds of resistance. So, I think it's going to take a lot of conflict to get these guys in order. And, he says he wants to do things the right way. I think that's going to come with a cost. And I think in the end, the underworld is the underworld, right? There's all kinds of people trying to get, best each other and make more money, get rid of the competition. I don't think that that's ever going to change. So I think Boba is probably going to realize that. So I don't know if he is, I want to say, I think he's trying to be better, maybe. But, he's always been a hired gun, right? Bounty hunters are hired mercenaries. And he doesn't know how to, at least I don't believe he does. He doesn't know how to run a crime syndicate or, yeah, I mean, I think he's seen him obviously being a part of Jabba's clan for a while, in a sense. But, when you're the head guy, everybody's going after you, a little different. So I think this is going to be a learning curve for him in these episodes. I think it's going to take him a while to establish himself. And other than that, that's the thing, is I don't know that's enough to drive this show. So I think there's something that's going to turn this thing upside down. I just don't know yet what that is. I anticipate a big, somewhat reveal at the end of the first episode, very similar to what we got at the end of episode 1 in The Mandalorian. Obviously, it's not going to be as surprising as a Baby Yoda or anything like that, but I think there's something that's going to happen at the end that's obviously going to turn the course of this show, and it's going to be very surprising to us fans. So I just haven't thought of what that is. I will try to do as much as I can about that going into the premiere, but I don't think we're going to get much more until the premiere. I think they're trying to, again, be very secretive of the show. I think they're being very secretive of who's going to end up showing up in it. And that's another big thing, is what cameos are we going to get in this? I think it's easily, I think you can easily guess that there's going to be a slew of bounty hunters that get reintroduced, or new bounty hunters that show up in this. I think, unfortunately, there are some that are no longer with us. Aura Singh is not around, so you're not going to get her. It was rumored for a while, at least in some Star Wars encyclopedias and whatnot, that Dengar and Bosk, that, one or both of them had died on Jabba's sail barge. I think it's been in the books that Dengar has survived, and it sounds like Bosk may have survived also. So I think it's possible Bosk and Dengar show up in this. Will we see IG-88? I think that's a possibility as well. But I also think this is a perfect opportunity to obviously bring the guy that Lucas and Filoni created and grew, which was Cad Bane. I think Cad Bane shows up in this series at some point. We already saw that introduction, or that somewhat fight between him and Fennec in the Bad Batch. So I think that was a little teaser that's going to happen again come this show. Trying to think of other bounty hunters that could show up. Dengar, Forlom. Is Forlom around? Is Zuckuss around? Maybe. There's some other bounty hunters that Boba was running around with back in the Clone Wars era. I mentioned Aura Singh, but she's gone at this point, killed by Beckett, which we learned in Solo. So I actually think also that maybe not this first season, but I think Crimson Dawn and Kira actually make an appearance, possibly. I think getting Emily Clark again to come back and reprise that role, I think she'd be down for that. And as we're seeing in the comics, I think Crimson Dawn is very much coming back, and she's a big part of it. So again, that's down the road speculation. I know I'm still trying to talk about this trailer, but I just don't see, I think it's fantastic imagery. We get this spider droid here at the beginning. You got Boba in his new armor again. It's a little nicked up again. I think he had it really fully painted in The Mandalorian, but it's a little nicked up here. Now, there is a shot of him, when he takes off his helmet here in this new location, that he looks healed. A lot of people are saying, well, it looks like he doesn't look as rough as he did in The Mandalorian. So a lot of people claiming he sat in the bank the tank for a while and got cured up. Looks like that's definitely a possibility. He is definitely healed up better and it's looking like his old self. Obviously, looks like Jango, right? Without the hair. But I wish, part of me still wishes that he would go back to the original Boba Fett outfit. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. He still has the black underneath, underneath the armor. So it doesn't look like that's going to happen, but I really would have loved to see the original Boba Fett outfit again. I think that would have been really cool. Let's see. So, a lot of Tatooine shots. Looks like he's meeting with these other leaders in Tatooine in Jabba's palace. I don't know where this big cityscape is, where we see this shot of, looking in, if that's Tatooine or not. That's another city on Tatooine. I guess it could be. It very well could be. I mean, all we know about Tatooine really right now is Mos Espa and Mos Eisley. Mos Eisley is a spaceport. Mos Espa is more of a marketplace city type place, but this looks like could be the capital of Tatooine. I mean, I guess that's definitely a possibility. But part of me also think he's, the Hutt's controlled. The Hutt's controlled of obviously not just Tatooine, but a region of the Outer Rim, Hutt space, and of course places around Tatooine in different areas. So this could be just another planet that another syndicate has, and it looks like when I just think it's a different planet, and when he goes there, that's where the guards with the fibrous shields or something like that, come out, and it just looks like he's walking into a different place, not Tatooine. So, again, I think, in my opinion, I would not be surprised if this whole teaser is from the first episode. Like, I don't see too much variety of shots here that tell me that this is anything but the first episode. I think the ending where he's like, speak freely, I think that is the very beginning, because he's still in the throne. He's still in Jabba's palace. I think that's where it kicks off. And then, of course, then he leaves and goes to this other city that we see. And then that's when he runs into those guards or whatever. So I think we're going to learn, again, a lot from the first episode. And I think at the end, it's going to take in a different direction than we think. That's just my guess of what I think Filoni and Favreau are up to. That's where I'm thinking. So not a lot to go on in this teaser. I think there's not a lot to say. Big question I think is are there going to be any flashbacks? Because apparently that was a rumor that we actually would see his old outfit, maybe how he got out of Sarlacc, or maybe there's a flashback of something beyond, beyond before Empire Strikes Back or anything like that. I think it's a possibility. I think that'd be cool to see, but I don't know. This doesn't have any indication of that's going to happen or not. So don't know if that's a possibility or not, but we shall see, I'm sure. But yeah, that's kind of my take of it. After watching it several times, I've watched it maybe a dozen times now, and very much looking forward to it, obviously. coming at us December 29th, right at the end of the year as we lead into 2022. So very, very excited for that. Let me know what you all thought about the trailer, and I will share it on the show. All right. Speaking of comments, going back to some of the things we've dropped on Beyond the Saga the past couple of weeks, like I said, we were hitting up that High Republic era with the comics and Light of the Jedi, the novel written by Charles Soule. Want to say thank you for commenting on some of that. Of course, we had Thrawn Addict mentioned, so glad you are getting into High Republic. Agree with you and Hannah. So refreshing and new. Great review and discussion. The novels have been great, and the comics so far have been good to get more of a visual idea of these new places, characters, and ships. Hope you carry on with the High Republic. We definitely will, and I 100% agree with that. I think the comics are the best way to obviously visually see what this era looks like and what these characters look like. So when I'm listening to the novels, when they talk about, any of the characters, Avar Kriss or Tennant, I can see who they're talking about, and the locations are crazy and whatnot. So, when obviously Marchion Rowe, I can see what he looks like and whatnot. So, Jojo Jar Jar mentioned, I'm very happy with the fan base appreciates the High Republic a lot, since I love The Rise of Skywalker and almost everyone else doesn't. I moved away from the other fans. Now that they at least understand the High Republic and go back to it a few times, sometimes only to be disappointed by them again. But anyway, I'm also very happy that you seem to appreciate almost everything from Star Wars, just like I do. Yes, I definitely appreciate Star Wars. Everything about it. Do I like everything? Absolutely not. There are definitely things I don't like. There's definitely storylines that I don't care to keep revisiting. But overall, I appreciate it all and will constantly, always, with all my heart, love Star Wars. Rest of my life, no doubt about that. Got a new listener, Windu Waika. Thank you. They say, hi, guys. Just came around your podcast. This was a great episode. Glad you're enjoying the new era so far. I've been reading the High Republic novels myself since it's launched, and I'm loving it. Currently in the middle of wave 2. So far, I think the authors are doing a great job of staying consistent with one another when it comes to the characters and the storylines. Looking forward to more of your High Republic episode, as well as your Star Wars content in general, just described. Thank you, Windu, very, very much. Yeah, I'm a little behind on the High Republic, but slowly catching up. Once I want to finish Into the Dark, then I'll get into Wave 2 as well. I'm not worried too much about the kind of the children's books. I usually focus on, if just in case, since you're new, I usually focus on the novels, the adult novels and the young adult novels, and then the Marvel comics. Haven't got into the IDW comics, which are the Star Wars Adventures, the High Republic Adventures. Haven't been too much into those. I read a little bit of those, but not too much. So I might read those eventually, but Marvel comics, novels, adult and young adult are the ones that I'm focusing on right now. So those are the ones you'll be hearing from us a lot. Okay. And then that was with the comic on the comments and the comics. And then of course, Light of the Jedi. Let's see. Again, Thrawn Addict mentions, I also agree with you, David. I think set 200 years before for a reason. I think as it goes on, you will see the conflict between Jedi and how much they involve themselves with the Republic, which will lead them to how they are in the prequel trilogy. 100% agree. I think this era was chosen for a reason. Let's see. Another comment by Windu Waika. Awesome episode, guys. Glad you enjoyed The Light of Jedi. Personally, this was the first High Republic content that I read and thought it was pretty solid introduction to the High Republic. It sets up the foundation of what could expect for the new era and got me invested in learning more. Thanks for the shout out. Absolutely. Yeah, we did shout you out in that episode, but also wanted to shout you guys out here. And then, of course, Jojo Jar Jar. Awesome. Going to listen to it later because I'm too busy right now. No problem. Get to it. And thanks you guys again for listening for this episode. Of course, please subscribe and spread the word and trying to get some more people. We got some great fans that are commenting on here on YouTube, which is awesome. We got some, good listener base on the podcast. Of course, you can go to any podcast feed and subscribe there. We're on all of them: Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeart, of course, Apple, everything. So, but if you like seeing me and everybody that I have on the shows here, go to youtube.com/inside the force and subscribe there. We've got some great shows on there. Not only are you getting Inside the Force, which is our weekly show, but of course there's episodes of Council Sessions and Beyond the Saga, Masters of the Order. And there's actually another show that's that we're putting together right now that I'll talk about later, but trying to get some more content out there for you guys, more discussions, expanding the Star Wars discussion. So definitely appreciate it, everybody. And go listen to the Mandalore podcast when you get a chance. Mandalore, that's me and Martin Donison over there. Martin's leading that episode, that show. And we are doing a deep dive also in the Boba Fett trailer on that latest episode. So go check that out. I'll be doing that later this weekend. Please go subscribe there. And if you got more feedback to send in there, Martin loves reading all that. We dive deep. We respond to every piece of feedback for that show as well. So go check that out. We will be covering the Book of Boba Fett in depth on that show, just like we did with Mandalorian and Clone Wars and Bad Batch. We will be doing deep dive every week as that show comes out for the Book of Boba Fett. All right. Again, thanks for hanging with me this whole time, just listening to me. This is getting a little easier each time. We'll see we'll see how that goes. But again, thank you, everybody. Remember, Disney Plus Day this Friday. Lots of content coming out, lots of reveals coming out. I will be doing another show right after that and probably putting it out either Friday night or Saturday morning. Until then, take care, everybody. Have a great week. May the Force be with you.